You know that one place you've always dreamed of visiting? That perfect beach, that incredible ancient forest, that breathtaking mountain? We all have one. We travel because we want to see the world's beauty. But here's a tough question. What happens when our love for these places is the very thing that threatens to ruin them? Okay, let's get into it. I mean, just look at this. It's an absolute paradise. The kind of place you see on a postcard and immediately add to your bucket list. But this beautiful image brings up one of the biggest challenges in modern travel. How do we get to enjoy paradise without loving it to death? And that question, well, it leads us straight to a fundamental problem, a real catch-22 for anyone who loves to travel. It's something known as the traveler's paradox. Just think about that for a second. We seek out these places because they're pristine, because they're untouched. But the very moment we step foot there, well, they aren't untouched anymore. Our footprints on the sand, the boats in the water, the hotels we stay in, they all leave a mark. So the real question is, how do we manage that first touch and every single one that comes after? Well, to figure out how to manage our impact, planners usually start from one of two core philosophies. These are the big guiding ideas that shape basically every rule, every park boundary, and every decision that gets made. So let's break these down. On one side, you have conservation. This is all about the wise and sustainable use of resources. The motto is kind of use, but don't abuse. But on the other side, you have preservation. This is the look, but please don't touch approach. It's all about protecting nature by, leaving it completely and totally alone. And this isn't just theory. You can see it in practice. For example, Tasik Kenyir in Malaysia is a perfect example of conservation. You can visit, you can enjoy some carefully regulated ecotourism, but then you have a place like the Royal Belem State Park. That's pure preservation. Large parts of it are strict no-go zones, totally off-limits, to protect it in its original state. Okay, so you have these guiding philosophies, but how do you actually put them into practice? Well, it turns out planners have a whole toolkit of methods. Let's open it up and see what they use to build a plan for smarter tourism. The first tool is a really big one, the Environmental Impact Assessment, or EIA. The idea is simple. Before anyone can build a new resort or a cable car, the EIA process tries to predict all the potential environmental damage. It's kind of like a crystal ball that lets us spot the problems before they actually happen. And this is no simple checklist either. An EIA is a super thorough, multi-step process. It starts by figuring out if a project even needs a review. Then it identifies what to study, suggests ways to reduce the harm, and, this is so important, it gets the public involved for their input before anything gets approved. It's a full-on health screening for any new development. So the next tool is something called carrying capacity. The easiest way to think about it is to imagine throwing a party in a really small apartment. There's a limit to how many people can squeeze in before it gets way too crowded and nobody's having a good time, right? Well, that's the basic idea. But for tourism, it's way more complicated than just physical space. It's also about how much pollution an ecosystem can handle, how many tourists a local community can tolerate, and even that point when a place just starts to feel too crowded for visitors. The third tool is called zoning, and it's basically just smart map making. Planners will divide a big area into different zones. So you might have a tourism zone with all the hotels and activities, and then a buffer zone with limited access, and then a poor zone that's completely protected. It's all about guiding people to the right places and keeping them away from the most fragile ones. Now, building on all these tools, planners have come up with an even more sophisticated approach. It moves beyond just counting people or drawing lines on a map. This framework is called the Limits of Acceptable Change, or LAC for short. This quote really gets to the core of it. The LAC framework starts with the simple truth. Anytime humans are present, there's going to be some change. So the goal isn't this impossible idea of zero impact. No. Instead, the goal is to get scientists, locals, and planners to all agree on a red line, the absolute limit of change a place can handle before it's seriously damaged. So why is this the new gold standard? Well, it totally shifts the question. Instead of asking how many people are too many, it asks how healthy is the environment? It focuses on the quality of the place, not just the quantity of tourists. It sets up these measurable indicators like water clarity or the percentage of living coral. And if those things hit a predefined limit, an alarm bell goes off and action has to be taken. It's like an early warning system. And just like the EIA, this is not guesswork. It is a formal, scientific, 9-step process. It involves identifying the key concerns, choosing what to measure, setting those crucial red lines, and then just constantly monitoring to make sure those lines are never, ever crossed.
Okay, so we've gone through all the theories and the tools, but what does this actually look like in the real world, in places that you might actually want to visit?
Let's start with Mobile Island, a world-famous diving destination. An ALAC study there found that the limits had already been passed. The coral reefs were suffering badly from all the development. The recommendation was pretty drastic, but it was necessary: a complete stop on all new resort construction. The goal wasn't to get more tourists anymore. The goal was to save and restore what was already there. In marine parks like Pulau Tioman and Radang, you can see these tools working together just beautifully. They use zoning to create strict protection zones where no one can go, so marine life can recover. Then, in the recreation areas where people can snorkel and dive, they use LAC. If their monitors show that coral damage has hit that agreed-upon limit, they can actually close a dive site temporarily to give it time to heal. It's active, responsive management in action. Or what about Kinabalu Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site? It's not just about how many people get to climb the mountain each day. They're actively monitoring LAC indicators, like how much soil erosion is happening on the trails. If a path gets too worn down and crosses that limit of acceptable change, the management steps in to reroute it or repair it. This makes sure the mountain itself stays healthy, not just open. So, the most important thing to take away from all of this is that smart tourism isn't about building fences and keeping people out. It's about being smarter. It's about using these tools to really understand our impact and to make conscious choices that allow both us and nature to thrive together. Ultimately, protecting these incredible places isn't just up to the planners and the governments. It's really up to all of us. Because the future of travel isn't just about where we're going anymore. It's about how we go. So the real question I'll leave you with is, what choices will you make on your next adventure?